Hey, my name is Stephen Cannon. If you don't already know me, yeah, these last few days have been very difficult for me. Just feeling very heavy, and I know it has been for a lot of other people as well. But I can no longer not speak up about what's going on, and also about even just you know what I've gone through. And the reason why I have to share that is, I was for years now, since I was a kid, I've never felt confident enough. Always having that fear of, whatever I say, no one's going to listen to it. No one's going to hear it. It's not going to matter. It's going to fall on deaf ears. Um, and so I haven't spoken up. I'm ashamed for that. But it wasn't until, even a few weeks ago, talking to someone and hearing them rationalize and feeling like they were rationalizing the reason why the cops were doing what they were doing, or why the two men, ran down and shot and killed Ahmad. And I was just like, God, like this is just unbelievable. And then the tipping point was yesterday when I got a text from someone that I do care about, and just them. They reached out and they're like, just pray for my family, as they got in an argument, and their family's white, and they basically, they were like, hey, we're not advocating for, they weren't advocating for that black African Americans, and they didn't believe in white privilege. They didn't think it was a thing. And so when I heard that, I was like, I can't believe people could watch what's happening, watch the videos that have been surfaced and that have surfaced, and still be so disconnected and not believe what's going on, and what we have to go through as Black African Americans. And so I was like, I have to speak up. What I'm gonna share. One, I'm sure some of the people that had a hand in this may watch this video, and I'll never say your name or anything, but or lead to who it might be, but this has to be shed to light. And also a disclaimer that what I've gone through is nowhere near what I know some of my other Black and African Americans have to go through. But people have to understand what we do go through. I know, it's definitely started for me when I was in middle school, and I had friends of all different ethnicities growing up, in different groups, especially through the sports that I played. But I remember it started at the end of middle school, and just a good amount of my white friends just randomly started saying the N word, and they were like, nigga, or when I'd walk into a room, they'd be like, "What's up, nigga?" and they'd laugh about it, and then it just got worse and worse and worse, and then a few people started saying nigger, and I was so just like angry, and just didn't understand why. And then I remember specifically, I was bullied through middle school, but there's certain things as a kid you always remember, and I remember someone calling me, someone that was white, and they called me a nigger and then spit on me. And I just remember being so just hurt, and like I said, confused, because I'm like, why is this happening? When you're young, you read in the history books of Martin Luther King and what he did for us, and you almost get this depiction of like, we've overcome it. Yeah, racism isn't a thing anymore. It's over. But then when it's actually happening, especially as a young kid, you don't even realize it, and and you're confused when it's happening. And so I remember I it got so bad, and one of my black friends was in the same friend group, and whenever we were not in the group, we would just talk, and we are just like, why are they doing it? And we would never speak up, though, because we were the odd people out, and we were way outnumbered. And so it got to the point where I don't ever like to talk about something, or share something about my friends, whatever. But it just got too much, and I remember just talking to my dad about it, and I told him, and my friend told his dad as well. And I remember I had never seen my dad this angry, uh, but then followed with such sadness. Um, and I remember they talked, both of our dads, and they were just fuming, and so just angry of what we were going through. Um, and I remember that exact same night, my dad pulled me aside, and many know that there's conversations that you have. There's a conversation you have as a kid, right? For everyone, it's a lot of times it's the birds and the bees, right? But for Black African Americans, we all have another conversation that we have to go through. And I remember my dad. He was just like, uh, in your life, son, because of the color of your skin, you're gonna have to work. You're gonna have to work harder, whether that's in school, whether that's in the workplace. And I can't even tell you how difficult it's been in the workplace throughout all my years of how hard I've had to work, and how it always feels like I'm at a disadvantage, or it always feels like I'm not treated fairly, and it hurts, and it's like a never ending thing no matter where I work, and it's so frustrating. But as a kid, I'm like, what? Why? I thought we were from that. My dad continued. He's like, you may be persecuted. Um, I remember walking into a Walmart. I didn't want to go there. It was when I was in college, and it was a specific area that I knew. And I was told about that. There had been racism throughout that area. But I needed to get groceries, and it was the only Walmart that I was near, so I went, and I'm like, oh, there's no way, right? No way that's that bad. I remember walking in, and had no black person inside. It was all white people, and I walked in, and everyone looked at me. And for those who know me, I'm a kind guy. I'm nice. I don't get angry easily at all. And so I tried to have a smiling face, kind of like have that face of like, I'm not, I'm a good person, right? And then I remember, and that's while I'm walking through the parking lot and up into the front area, and I remember there was so many people there that all of the carts were so far back, because so many people were using it. And so there's an older white male that was a little bit behind me, and so just a little bit. I could see that he had a little bit of a limp. He definitely was a lot older, and I remember I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna get a cart for him. I feel like there's tension, but I want them to know, like. And so I remember I went and I brought 2 carts, and one for myself, and then I handed it to him, and he looked at me and just didn't say a word, took the cart and walked away. And I remember when that happened, I was like, what's happening? Why, why am I being treated like this? And I remember walking through the store and getting I had so many things that I wanted to get, and I only got a few things because I could feel, even when I got to the register, the lady wouldn't speak to me at all. And I always do a thing where I'm like, hey, how you doing, or good afternoon, or whatever it is. It's just who I am. And they looked at me and just didn't say a word. And that was the first time where I realized, like, this is still going on. And so, here's the thing, from what, as I continue, I'm not going to sit here and not realize the progress that we've had as a nation, all the way till this point, and what Martin Luther King did, because I know for a fact that 100 years ago, if I was doing what I'm doing right now, I'd be found lynched and killed as a representation of what happens when you speak out. Or I wouldn't have the friends that I have who are white, who are some of my best friends. But change has got to happen, and it's still prevalent today. And even speaking to one of my white friends last night, and he was just like, he was like, can I get some insight on some stuff? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And he's like, this is the first time I'd ever talked to one of my white friends about this deeply and just this open about, this kind of stuff. And he said, I feel like if I speak up or repost something on this matter, that people will see it and find it not genuine. Here's the thing. For us black folks, we realize who's speaking up for us. We see it. We take note of it. I have tons of friends that I'm like, I see that they're posting up stuff, and I can name all of them right now if I wanted to. And I love them for it. But not speaking up is just as bad as being against us. And I have that 10%. And I'm just throwing out percentage, but 80% of people I have spoken up recently of my friends, but there's that few 10% that haven't. And that's fine, maybe they just haven't understood what we're really going through right now. And then I also have that 10% of other friends that are siding with the police or don't think what's really going on is that bad, and not seeing the severity of what's going on. And so I just you gotta speak up for us. I love the Proverbs that's flowing around right now. It's Proverbs 31, 8-9, and it says, speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves. Ensure justice for those being crushed. Yes, speak up for the poor and helpless and see that they get justice. I love that because here's the thing. We as a black community have done all that we can to get to the point that we are. I mean, my goodness, we have public figures, LeBron, Steph Curry, all these NBA players who have spoken out. Even a few years ago with the, I can't breathe, because what happened just recently to George Floyd happened already, and that was with Freddie Gray, and I feel like people have already forgotten about that. And so I remember the NBA doing peaceful protests, and they had "I Can't Breathe" shirts on, and that got flack for that. And you have Colin Kaepernick, who was on his knee. And let me just I remember tons of friends being on the opposite side of that. And let me just touch on that a little bit. It wasn't about the flag. It was about what we're going through right now. And when someone of a figure like him was persecuted the way he was, and was silenced the way he was, what that did to the rest of us black African Americans is it told us it doesn't matter who we are. It doesn't matter how big we are and how famous we are. It doesn't matter. We're still going to be treated the same way. And when we finally step up to the plate and really speak out against what's happening to us, we're going to be silenced. And we've seen that with him. He can't even get a job within the NFL. No team wants to take him because they don't want all the controversy and flack. And it's like, what? For him standing up for what he believes in? For us as a community? For us black people who are going through what we've gone through? And it just continues to happen again and again and again. And here's the thing. What's happening to the black community and the persecution that's happening isn't the only place in this world that this is happening. There's so many other nations that are, and ethnicities that are going through persecution and that are having these problems. And the only time that change can actually happen is when the persecutors are the ones who go, you know what? We're gonna step up to the plate. We're gonna take that torch. I love the photos with Martin Luther King, and you have him and all the black people, and they're arm to arm, and they're at the front lines and they're marching peacefully, and seeing that. But what we need now is we need that to be the white people. We need the voices that are the people that are the persecutors. We need them to be like, we're gonna take the torch. We got you. We're gonna speak up. However, whatever that means, we are going to lead the charge for you. And whether that's white people or for whatever other nations and people that are persecutors around the world, for whoever is a persecutor, they have to be the ones to make the change. And If not, there's not. This is just gonna be like all the rest that have happened in the last 10, 15, 20. You can count it up until this all started. It's just gonna happen again. It really is. And I read, even in 2015, there was police officers killed 104 unarmed black men. And I was just like, just looking at that, it just hurt me. And it's so frustrating to see that. We all know about the Trayvon Martin, who was 17 years old and was killed. I believe it was in 2012. We know about Breonna Taylor, who was on her bed and was shot multiple times just recently, while police officers just barged in without announcing themselves. We know about the Ahmaud Arbery, who was gunned down not by police officers but by two white people, and then it was covered up for months. And who knows what would have happened if the video footage wasn't leaked. And then to think about all the videos that aren't there to showcase what's really happening. And then obviously, the Freddie Gray, what happened to George Floyd just recently wasn't the first time that this has happened recently. And to see Freddie Gray have to go through that, and now George Floyd, and here's the thing, watching someone have life and then lose life. I don't know how you can watch that and not see that there's a problem, that there's something that is at large here. And it hurts me to know that we're still having to go through this. It hurts me that I have to even feel. I haven't been able to sleep in the last few days. I've had so many times just crying and tears and just weighed down and for something that it's just like I don't want to have to when I have a son or daughter in the future. I don't want to have to tell my son that he has to worry about these things. It just doesn't make sense. So like Nike said, and I love this, like they said in a recent post, for once, don't do it. Don't pretend there's not a problem in America. Don't turn your back on racism. Don't accept innocent lives being taken from us. Don't make any more excuses. Don't think this doesn't affect you. Don't sit back and be silent. And don't think you can't be a part of the change. Let's all be a part of the change. And for my Black African American brothers and sisters, don't fight hate with hate. Take action, but do it with love. And trust and pray that God will bring us from the hopeless state that we're in and the hopeless madness that is going on, just as he did with the Israelites, saving them from Pharaoh and the 400 years of slavery. Here's one thing that I do know. Suffering can bring unity. 2020 has been a horrible year, not just for our nation, but for the entire world. You have the Australian bushfires. You have the economy suffering. The Ukrainian jetliner crash in Iran. People losing their jobs. Devastating floods in Indonesia. Communal riots in Delhi. Volcano eruption in Tao. The death of Kobe Bryant in a helicopter crash. The earthquakes in Turkey and the Caribbean. And obviously the corona pandemic. And because of a lot of this, though, it has brought many of us closer because we are all fighting the same battles. It angers me. It really angers me when I see, and this is just who we are as people, but it angers me that power and greed and want of land and or the differences of religion and political views or the color of our skin brings disunity and brings us into war or into fighting each other. I just don't understand, like, why can't we live with our differences? Why can't we live among each other despite all the things that make us different? There's a beauty within that. Why do we always find the negative in things? And so honestly, I hope what's happening with right now with the black community and the white community, I hope that we can come together and be unified. I hope that the people of the white community that don't understand what we're going through, that's okay, but understand, be there for us. Take arms with us, help us out. It doesn't have to be the way. I don't understand why people hate each other, why people find reasons to knock each other down. It brings nothing for anyone. It really doesn't. And so I honestly pray. I pray for our nation. I pray for the black community. I pray for the white community. I pray for any community that is going through a hard time, wherever it is. I honestly hope, and I could see it never being a thing, but I honestly hope that there can be a time in our world, in our nation, where we are all unified. We can all be at peace. Sure, we'll always have differences. We'll always look different in whether it's our skin or our religions make us different, but we can find peace in that. We can find the things that do make us the same and not find ourselves in the state that we're always in, where there's always war on the front lines around the world. It just doesn't need to. I just don't understand. So I hope that what I've shared, who knows, hopefully it inspires many, but if it just inspires that one or two people that realize, wow, so that's what's going on. So that's what they go through. So this is really a thing that is hard and tough for them. I pray that is something that happens. And I want to share this video that I'm gonna play from CNN, and this guy says it perfectly. And I hope this connects with all of you. I hope this inspires you guys. I hope that there is a hope for all of us to know that there is a time and it is possible for us to all be unified and to come together. If you do find yourself in a tough spot and you are discouraged and you're down and you don't know where to go and you're hurting, we all are, but I want to be one of those people that people can go to and talk to and feel like they can get that encouragement. I want to be always looking to the bright side of things, even when there's darkness all around. I know God has a bigger plan in the future for us, but we got to do the legwork as well, in helping with that change. And so I just wanted to get out there, speak on this, as this has been I honestly could not sleep last night. I was like, I have to speak up. I have to. I love all you guys. I love the people who have hurt me. I love the people who I know are going to hurt me. I want to continue to love those and turn my the other cheek to those. And I pray that the riots stop, and I pray that we peacefully can continue to do this in a peaceful way. But I pray that now that it is not done in vain, that these people who have died, that their lives are remembered, just like Martin Luther King's life was remembered, just like so many others were as well. I know that there can be change, and I know that each one of you can be one of those people that helps in that movement. So my name is Stephen Cannon. I definitely just had to get on here. I love you guys all. I really do hope that one day I can look back at this and be like, man, we did it. We made it. Love you guys.
My argument is this: we're really just battling one problem. America is a tale of two cities. One, the majority. One, the minority. The last 3 months exposed these parallel Americas. Tonight, you see the flames in Minneapolis. For too many in the minority, they illuminate an act of rebellion and catharsis, a show of force when for too long there's only been helplessness, a fight or flight reaction, as you heard, that comes after flying in fear and insecurity they say they feel too often and in too many ways. Now, too many in the majority see lawless actions that offset any underlying act. I speak to the majority here, and I beg you to stop ignoring the pain and profound hurt that lies beneath what you see. Of course, these actions are against the law. Of course, they're not what we want to see. But we in the majority cannot allow ourselves to be corrupted by toxic talk about the correct way to express that pain. You can't simplify it to the point of a false equivalence that puts some insured buildings on equal footing with an apparently never-ending pattern of dead, black, young men at the hands of those who are supposed to protect them. Tonight, we see a wrong after a wrong. And yes, two wrongs don't make a right. But if we don't address why we keep ending up here, we'll never make things right. It isn't the rebels lighting fires. It isn't the media exposing the reality. The problem is the reality. Just look at the last 3 months. Forget about policing. Look at the toll of the pandemic. More people of color are getting sick and dying. Why? Less access to care. More minorities are losing their jobs at a faster rate. Yet they make up the higher percentage of those at work right now in jobs deemed essential. Imagine how that feels. Helping more and being helped less. They stand a greater chance, minorities, of getting stopped for wearing and not wearing masks. Those government small business loans, they didn't go evenly to the majority and minority. Most went to the majority. In one America, people rage for the freedom to get a haircut and a tattoo. The other is raging just to be seen and heard. One America says they won't wear a mask because when they jog, it's uncomfortable, not necessary. It's an affront to their liberty. One has renewed fear that going for a jog could get you killed. One America insists their need for football is so sacrosanct, there can be no kneeling protest on the sidelines. Sons of... But is not outraged by a cop kneeling on this man's neck? Doesn't make it okay to riot, says the majority. But doesn't it depend why it's happening? A riot in Boston Harbor started the fight that amounted to America. Cities burned across the continent in 1968, again at Stonewall. In each of those cases, it was the minority manifesting a desperate plea to be heard and for change, just like now. A friend of mine, celebrated American and African American, asked me in a broken voice, why doesn't America love us? Why do they do this to us? And he wasn't just talking about this latest case, he was talking about all of it. And by America, he meant me. He meant you, the white majority. Now, you can listen to those who put it on the minorities. Violent, outrageous, lazy. They hate the majority. They don't comply with the police. They are the tyrants. Look what they're doing in the streets. You're judging symptoms and you're missing the illness, and you know it. It was Nelson Mandela who said, when a man is denied the right to live the life he believes in, he has no choice but to become an outlaw. And you know this is true. More poverty means more crime, means more interactions with police, means less avenues to dignity, to power, to change, for hope, for respect of the law, and for optimism that drives ambition to live the American dream. Please don't just see the death of George Floyd. See all of it. Yes, this one is on video. And yes, it's so obvious. So that you can say, well, this one I get. It's not just this one. It's that the officers in it seem to be saying, we know it's wrong, and we're going to do it anyway. That's why the minority screams. Not just this video. It's the prosecutions that don't happen, the cases that aren't on video that you don't see, and the prosecutions that do happen of the wrong people, the punishments that are too harsh for the crimes minorities commit. It's the laws that make it harder to vote and easier to be out of a job. So you can listen to those who say, put it on the minority, they're the tyrants. But it's still going to be your problem. You know why? Only the majority can fix it. The minority doesn't have the power. My father joined a generation of leaders from and for the minority, calling out this tale of two cities to you, the majority. And here I am, his son, almost 40 years later, and we have yet to answer the call. A house divided cannot stand. United we stand, divided we fall. E pluribus unum, one out of many. We are all in it together. How many times must we try to teach the same lesson? The pandemic will pass. The case will fade into the others, but our real problems remain. They'll only go away when we finally realize that minority and majority must come together, or America will never